The Villain's Demand reviews Wolverine, Old Man Logan, written by Mark Millar and art by Steve McNiven.
Hey guys, this is The Villain's Demand. I'm Evan the Great. This is Justin Von Doom, and this is Hero Man. Today we're going to bring you another comic book review over Old Man Logan. You can read this in Wolverine Volume 3, issues 66 through 72, and it continues over into Old Man Logan Giant Size.
The book starts off and Logan's a farmer. It's 50 years into the future and he looks old. Like he's aged much more than you would assume Wolverine would in 50 years. Come to find out, he can't make rent. He's got a family. His landlords are the Hulks. Because he can't make rent, the Hulks show up and they give him one heck of a beating. He never fights back. He just takes it. It's kind of odd from Logan when you first start reading the book and you're like, wow. Then he's laying in bed, he's healing up. You tell his regeneration is much slower. Hawkeye shows up, one of his old friends. Hawkeye talks about his regeneration being slower. But Hawkeye has a job for him. This job pays well, but they got to travel all the way across the country. And Logan really can't turn it down because now he's got to pay double rent because he was late. Otherwise the Hulk kill his family and maybe kill him or whatever they got to do. So he takes the job. Hawkeye has the Spider-Mobile, which is awesome. It can do whatever a spider can. Climb walls, all kinds of stuff. It's real adorable, can jump cliffs. Logan thinks he's going to be driving it. He's not. Blind Hawkeye is driving it. He is blind. And he just needs Logan to tell him where he's going. You find out during this that the land is now a wasteland. It's almost everything's a desert, pretty much. So it's not too hard to drive. You just kind of got to drive in the right direction. When you have the Spider-Mobile, you can drive over stuff. So they take off. They end up going by San Francisco. When they get there, it's taken over by Moloids. I mean, it's just all the buildings are sunk. There's one guy up on top of a church steeple, screaming for help. And Hawkeye's like, we don't have time to help him. And Hawkeye explains what the Moloids are doing. They can sink entire cities and they eat all the people and stuff. And he's like, we got bigger things to do. And they take off. And then they get to their next city and the Ghost Riders attack. Hawkeye, he's blind. He gets hit right off. Logan don't fight back. He just takes a beating. One of the Ghost Riders are whipping up on him, and he's like, "You're not even fighting back. Come on, come on." They get them all beat down, and they go over to the car. They pop the trunk, and they're like, "Oh, it's drugs." So they assume that Hawkeye was trying to deliver drugs, that he's a drug smuggler, because they talk about it, him and Logan, a little bit. That's what Hawkeye does for a living now, is he's a drug smuggler, because it's good money, and he's still got to make a living, because he can't really be a hero in this world because the villains have taken over. But they're making all this noise because they're excited, and all of a sudden an arrow hits one, and then it shows Hawkeye. He's like, yeah, keep making noise. He's blind, but his other senses are so good, he can pinpoint people good enough that he can hit them with a bow and arrow from pretty far away. So Hawkeye kills them all. Him and Logan get into this little argument about why Logan's such a pansy now. Why didn't he fight back? Logan tells him that he's pacifist, he'll never pop his claws again, and he goes into the story of why. He talks about when the villains first took over, they all they broke into groups and attacked each hero, and the one that had took on the X-Men was Mysterio, and what he did was his greatest illusion yet. He made every X-Men look like a villain, and except for Wolverine, and Wolverine killed his own X-Men. And you can read about this and a little bit in Extraordinary X-Men that we also covered. But he killed all of his X-Men, and at the end he ends up killing Jubilee, and then the illusion fails, and he finds out what he did. He's done slayed them all. He's been fighting them for however long. Mysterio shows up and tells him what he did. Logan just loses it. He killed everything he ever loved, and so he just starts walking. He walks for days or weeks, or he doesn't even know how long, until he's just walked enough, and then he tries to restart his life, and that's when he gets a family and starts farming, and he gets away from the hero life. He vows to be a pacifist, never pop his claws again. Then it cuts back to the main story, and they get the Hammer Fall. That's where Thor was killed. And Ultron 8 and Tonya's there, and she's actually Hawkeye's third wife, and they have a kid together, and the Ultron 8 works for her. It's like her personal robot. They tell her that Hawkeye's daughter has tried to go do the hero thing and she's been captured by the Kingpin. So of course Hawkeye and Wolverine, they go, or Logan, because he's not called Wolverine, they go to save his daughter. When they get there, they save her, they break in, they drive the Spider-Mobile in, they break her out, she kills the Kingpin, and then you find out she was doing it because she wants to become the Kingpin. She becomes the new leader, so she takes control of the forces, and she tries to kill Hawkeye and Wolverine. They have to run for their lives. As they're running from her, they run out of there. They're going through, and there's a bunch of dinosaurs. You see some Venom symbiotes following them. They end up getting chased by a Venomsaurus, which is a pretty cool scene. They get saved by Black Bolt and Emma. You know, they fix the Spider-Mobile. They set them on their way. They start heading towards Red Skull's city, the one that he runs. When they get there, they have a meeting, and that's also where they're going to get their payment. So they're about at the end of their journey here. They get in, they're having the meeting, come to find out that they're wanting to build a new Avengers. And Hawkeye wasn't delivering drugs, he was delivering the super soldier serum. He's got a bunch of vials with him. And Hawkeye don't want payment, he just wants a spot on the team. He wants to be, you know, the one that takes down Red Skull, the one that takes down Doom and the Hulk. You know, he wants to be part of that team. And come to find out, it was a trick. After they do all this, they gun Wolverine down, they shoot Hawkeye, shoot him in the head, they deliver the bodies and the super soldier serum to Red Skull, who's the president of his land. He's standing there, he's all in Captain America's outfit. He believes he should be allowed to wear his worst enemy's costume. And he's standing in his trophy room. They bring him in, and he tells the guys they can keep the money, and he gets the super soldier serum. Wolverine gets up, he's not dead, he starts attacking them. He beats them up, beats the humans up, starts fighting Red Skull, and he's getting beat down. He ends up using the shield to kill Red Skull, and then he takes the Iron Man outfit that Red Skull had as a trophy. He breaks his way out, kills a couple more people, and just hightails it back to California. He's got to get there in time to be able to pay this rent off so his family lives. He crashes just short of his home. He's able to get there. He's still 2 weeks early, but he gets there and it's too late. The Hulks got bored. They showed up 2 weeks early, and they slaughtered his whole family and laid him out for Wolverine, or for Logan to see as an example. Logan, he snaps. You know, this whole passive vow, he's done with it. You know, they killed his family, and he killed his other family. He's had enough. It's time to do something about it. He goes and starts hunting the Hulks, which are a bunch of inbred hillbillies. And he's slaughtering them, man. He's getting them in bars and sewers, in their bath, at their home.
Whorehouses.
Yeah, whorehouses. He is just slaughtering them. And then he has his last fight with Bruce Banner, the main Hulk. And it's just Bruce. Bruce is like Hulk strong, and he's whipping up on Wolverine. And then Wolverine gets the best of him, and he turns into a giant Hulk. And then he eats Wolverine. And at the end of it, he's ate him. Another Hulk shows up. There's only 3 Hulks left: a baby, a nephew, and Bruce Banner. And then Wolverine regenerates inside the Hulk and cuts his way out and kills the Hulk, kills the cousin or the nephew, and takes the baby. And that leads into the funeral for his family. Wolverine went home, had a funeral, put his family to rest, and then he's going to go start a new team. He's going to be a hero again. And he said it's ironic that he's going to use this baby Hulk as the first member. So he's going to raise it as his own, and he's going to have his own personal Hulk. And that's the end of it, as he rides his horse basically out to start being a hero again.
I think we all agree, and anybody who's ever read this story, excellent. I don't think stories get any much better than this.
It
is great. Mark Millar, Steve McNiven, wow, my hat's off to you. When I read this story years and years ago, what's sad is you never really got anything after this story. During Secret Wars, there was an Old Man Logan tie-in. Really didn't have anything to do with the story at all, the world itself. But now that he's an extraordinary X-Men, I think maybe we'll get to see maybe a little bit more of that play out. But excellent world building is really what makes the story to me. Yeah. World building. And wow, I cannot say enough about this story. Excellent. And it's an excellent end to that Wolverine run too, of Volume 3. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh.
You can go.
Oh yeah. To me, same thing. We usually do at the end 10 stars. I mean, this book, to take two characters who are past their limit. Wolverine's old, regeneration ain't there no more, has popped his claws. You got a blind Hawkeye traveling across the country to make sure Wolverine can get money to pay his rent, keep his family safe. And for Hawkeye, he don't tell him what it is. They really use that as a plot twist, because I'm thinking the whole time, why is Hawkeye selling drugs? Then when you find out he's not selling drugs, he's selling super serum to try to be part of this new Avengers roster, researchers.
But it shows you heroes never die.
Yeah.
No
And
matter
there's a
what
hero
their
that
age,
lies
you know.
deep inside him, no matter how much of an asshole you think he is to the whole thing. He's actually, it's really good, and it's really cool that they do something like that. And to take two characters like Wolverine and Hawkeye and be able to dialogue them for, what, 5-6 issues in a row?
No, it's like 7.
7, it's a lot. And a lot of times they're in the Spider-Mobile, and it's like if I was watching a movie and they was in a vehicle just driving, talking, that sounds boring. Not this. It's complete up, switch that around. That's why the story is so good, because as they're driving, they're going through all these different lands like he's talking about, and you get to see the world building around this and everything that has to offer, with the Moloids being the ecosystem, and there's Hulks running around, the villains have took over. It's just a really good, dark story about two guys wanting to survive, and they're wanting to bring a hero back into the world.
I agree. It's a great story. Anytime you take a story and you give the villains the main amount of power, they're the top dogs. Like this one, I love it. I love villain stories. I like when they take over. I like seeing that. This book, it does that. One thing I really enjoyed as the world building is I like how all the heroes that died, they like hammers fall. It's
But
when
in
Thor
cities,
died.
yeah,
Their
after
cities
the-
are
after the battles.
the main heroes that died there. And then you got like another crossing on the roads that's like Pym Falls, where Pym's died. You've got just a couple different ones where it's the main battles, like you were saying. I think that's really cool, and that speaks for the villains. And then each one of the villains have got their own little territory. Doom's got one. Magneto had one, but then this new Kingpin killed him when he got old. And
Abomination
took over.
had one.
Abomination had
The
one.
Hulk killed him.
And then the Hulk killed him and took over. Red Skull still has one.
Green Goblin.
Green Goblin had one.
And then there's some uncharted territory.
Yeah.
I think in the map that no one's really claimed.
And
which, for all we know, could be sunk land from the Moloids.
It could
Yeah.
be. And, I liked everything about that. And then they add the aspect of the Moloids, which I loved.
Yes.
I'm a huge Gears of War fan. That's my favorite storyline for a video game. And the Moloids reminded me of the Locusts from there.
Yeah.
They come in, they drop
That
cities,
is
sink holes.
perfect right there.
And I thought that was so cool. That instantly, like I said, I'm a huge Gears fan. And I really loved that. How the Moloids they still had a part in this. Even though the world was a wasteland and everything, they were a huge factor. They actually almost kill Wolverine in them. They're the reason they almost kill him, but then they're also the reason they survived.
Yeah.
Because they were getting chased by Hawkeye's daughter's new army. But I can't speak highly enough about the book. But I guess we can go ahead and jump into what our favorite characters were.
Well, can you really go over a list of characters? Because there's mainly 2. It's more of the idea. What would be your favorite idea in the book? Because your characters are just Hawkeye and Wolverine, and then everybody else is almost like a side note.
Yeah. Side note. So
maybe like your favorite part of the world itself, because basically that's what the book is.
Yeah.
It's a different world, and I think mine is what you brought up, is the Moloid part, where Hawkeye talks about how it's almost like they are the Earth's ecosystem, and it's them taking almost control of the Earth. It's almost like a retaliation in a sense for what is going on, because you look at the Earth itself, the villains have taken over, and they don't care about anything.
Yeah.
Like, everything's ran down, and everything's basically a wasteland. And then you look at, referring to the ecosystem, where in the Kingpin's territory, they brought up dinosaurs from the Savage Land. Of course, that would really mess up your ecosystem. So the way the Moloids are used, which is, to me, has always been a very stale, really unused, really looked over idea from the Fantastic Four. It doesn't get used a lot. It's used very effectively in this.
And I thought they did a great job.
Yes.
I love the Moloids. Like I said, they reminded me of the Locusts. The way they attack.
That's great. That's a perfect way to describe this. Yeah.
Something I noticed that maybe y'all didn't is when I read the book, like I always say, I kind of envision like some of the ideals of where they got stuff, or just my mind just being Evan the Great's mind. Whenever I'm reading this story,
Let's not get caught in that.
I'm not. I mean, did you visualize Mad Max any in this?
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah.
And I'm like, the whole time I'm reading it, and then when I read the scene and they're running, you know, they're in the Spider-Mobile, and they look in the back, and they're like, what's back there? He said like 50 vehicles and dinosaurs. I'm like,
yeah,
it's Mad Max to me.
And they're riding the dinosaurs at that. Yeah. Maybe this would make for an interesting crossover one day. That's I didn't even think about it at all. And that's actually a really great analogy.
Yep, and they each got their own little section of land and everything.
Yeah.
It's just water's not currency here, I guess. So.
I loved Hawkeye in the story. I mean,
yeah, you're a Hawkeye fan.
I'm a Hawkeye fan. I loved Hawkeye. He's this rough, gruff, old, blind badass.
This is my favorite.
My favorite thing. Is not he's blind and he's still cocky. He's still I'm going to drive, not you, Logan. You just tell me where to go.
Yeah, he's just a map guy.
Yeah,
you're
just a map guy. And then you find out he's still got fighting skills. His other senses are so honed. He can hit people with arrows. He can fist fight. He kills a couple people with like a sword. He's next level. He almost reminded me of Daredevil, like the way he's able to pinpoint people for making noise and stuff.
Well, it goes to show you how skilled Hawkeye is as an archer.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't need his sight to shoot something.
And I loved how he talked about. He was so offended that when the villains attacked, they ignored him. He's like, why? Did they ignore me because they knew it'd bother me? Did they ignore me because I started out as a villain? Or did they just not take me as a threat? And that bothered him, and he talks about that. So I kind of think that's one of the reasons after he started losing his sight, he refused to give up.
Yeah.
That's
actually a good point.
And I thought that was a really good point. And I loved Hawkeye through the whole thing, and I loved how he bounced off Wolverine, because he was kind of that hardcore Wolverine that you're used to, but Logan wasn't that anymore.
Instead of like good cop, bad cop, you get fun cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
In a sense.
And he was trying to tell Logan, you know, he's trying to talk him into doing stuff. He's
or fun cop, pacifist cop.
Yeah. And you know, their banter between each other, like Evan the Great was talking about, was really good.
Yeah.
There's a couple times he's like calling Logan a pussy and just different stuff, and he doesn't understand Logan's reasoning until Logan explains it to him, and then he kind of understands. But you can kind of tell there's a couple times I felt like Hawkeye was trying to set Logan up to become
to show him like you can still do this.
Yeah, to bring out the old Wolverine.
To bring out the berserker rage.
Yeah, and I liked everything about Hawkeye, and I actually liked that they killed him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's only so much you can do with a character like that, and they built him up to the point that you really liked him, and they took him away, and I thought that was a great part of the book.
Well, and it gives Logan initiative too.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. Because to me, even though the book is Old Man Logan, he's the to me he's almost like your focus. Like he's the guy that carries the book. I mean, it's not about Logan. The book is about him getting this super soldier serum, trying to save the world. Logan's just there for along for the ride.
Yeah.
So you got Hawkeye's mission and Logan's story.
Well, I mean, what would sell better, Old Man Logan or Old Man Clint?
Look at all different Marvel.
But I mean,
he's older than that, right?
No, I mean, the book.
Oh yeah.
Wolverine would sell. Logan would sell better than Clint.
Yeah.
You know, popularity-wise.
To me, his look reminded me of Cheech Marin from Cheech and Chong. And to me, it kind of struck me as a hippie because, man, he said man and dude all the time. Man, dude. Yeah. You know, and then they accused him of being a drug runner. And to me, I just kind of thought that was funny. Well, he's got like this hippie sense to him in a way.
Yeah. His personality didn't really remind me of anybody, but his look.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Has anybody played Left 4 Dead?
Oh, the old man
Bill.
from Land. Yeah.
Bill, he looked identical to Bill.
Yeah,
beard, his white, a ponytail. Like, to me,
they copied it off
he looked like Bill. And he even kind of had that military sense about him because he used to be an Avenger. He used to be almost a soldier for the Avengers. And
stuff. And the game was about the same time as his book too.
With me, he was the perfect model. It was like if you was to take that Bill and fit him into the universe, he looked just like him. And he almost had the same attitude. Like Bill, he enjoyed the zombies. They gave him something to do, and he refused to give up. Hawkeye, he enjoyed being a hero. He refuses not to be a hero, and he's not giving up. You know, he fit a lot.
And your molars kind of like your zombies.
Yeah. And I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, the comparison. I'm sure they didn't do it on purpose, but to me, as soon as I seen him, I'm like, oh, it's Bill, because that was my favorite character. And I enjoy little stuff like that in books that probably aren't even intended.
And you know, you're talking about that, and it makes me think, and almost in a sense, you talk about how they didn't take Hawkeye seriously. The roles are flipped in this book, where Hawkeye is your badass, where normally Wolverine is.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye is not taken seriously, which no one really in this book takes Wolverine serious because they don't know who he is.
Yeah, because he's been laying low
for like 50 years. Yeah.
Which, I mean, Wolverine does become a badass in the end of it.
Yeah, well, I don't even think in the end of it until the giant size he's not a badass. Because, man, like, Red Skull's tearing him a new one.
Yeah, I mean...
Because, you know, he hasn't really... He's out of, I guess, fighting shape, in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, you bounce off Wolverine, and it's a different take on Wolverine. I think that's what's really good, because you've got Wolverine who is balls to the walls, in your face, stabby, stabby, sneak, sneak, to I'm not fighting because of what he's done. And it's a really nice twist to the character, to see a softer, pacifist side to him.
One thing we talk about, like he's talking about all the locations, is I like some of the locations and the people that are involved. Like you have like Hammer's Fall, where they were selling all the superheroes.
That was the memorabilia.
Yeah, it was awesome to see that.
Tourists. That's what that was.
And that was in Vegas, right? It was like around the area of Vegas.
Yeah. It was somewhere around there.
And it was cool because Vegas still being as a tourist area, and then they change it to Hammer's Fall, and it's still the same thing.
I was kind of hoping they'd have a giant line where people would pay money to try to pick up.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if this was wrote after these Avengers movies, you would probably got that.
And what's cool about it is...
But they worshipped it.
Yeah, they
did worship it. But I wish they would pay, let people pay to try to pick it up. I would pay like every other day.
Try to pick it up.
I would try to change my life. Go pick it up. It didn't work. I would change my life again.
Hey, hold up. You say that, and I just thought about this. Maybe that's why they don't, because everybody's praying for the heroes to come back. Wouldn't you think there would be more people that would be worthy?
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe they're just too scared. If I go try to pick that up, he's going to know I'm trying to be a hero, and he's going to kill me.
Yeah, but still, you know, where they refer back to Ashley right after this, Hawkeye's daughter, you know, how he filled her head full of nonsense of heroes. Everybody's got to know this because they're still selling all the memorabilia. Maybe that's why no one picks up the hammer, because the villains have beat it into their head not to, because they're afraid someone would be worthy enough to be Thor.
Yeah, because if you become Thor, they put a target on your back.
Yeah, exactly. And think about it. On top of that, you know, they mentioned that it took the Absorbing Man and Magneto to take down Thor, too. So, you know, that's two actually really powerful people in Marvel.
Yep. But I like the fact that you can install hope in people in desperate measures like this. Like, you wouldn't think there'd be too many people, but then again, you would think there'd be a lot because the tourist attraction are letting it go down. That even after the heroes fall, people still believe that they'd come back. And it's really weird that you would have a world built like this with all the negativity, and you still have you're almost like your religion people.
Well, you just talking about, you know, the negativity. I think, in a sense, the villains leave that laying around as like, hey, if you cross, this is what happened. Like,
I guess you're right. They have
where they go by Loki's body's there, and it's huge, and then you see Giant Man's, and it's just as big. It's just laying there. You know, almost as a calling card from the villains, like, you know, if heroes try to rise up, this is what happens to them.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
There was a few things in the book I didn't like. I didn't like the new Kingpin.
I'm glad you brought that up. I thought maybe he was like the son of Luke Cage.
You know,
in a sense, because look at him. You look at modern day Luke Cage. Well, I should say modern now, but like before, early on with the new Avengers and whatnot, he still was doing the gold chains and stuff like that. And I mean, at first that was my first thought. It's like, wow, this is Luke Cage, because I would think, in a sense, if his skin couldn't break, he would be that old. Would his skin not age?
Oh, he didn't have unbreakable skin.
Yeah, but then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, well, obviously then he doesn't have unbreakable skin. But in my mind, that's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe this is a descendant of Luke Cage just by the way he looked.
Well, he mentioned that he worked for Magneto.
Yeah.
And he worked under him, I guess, as a servant. When Magneto
took out Magneto,
he killed him, which I really enjoyed, because that's how a lot of villains work. A villain uprises, takes over the master. He's the new villain.
It's a Sith. It's a Sith. Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. Same as when Hawkeye's daughter, she whacked his head off.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
like
with the back of a gun, she became the new boss. Everybody instantly working for her. She tries to kill her dad. They run off. But I wanted to talk about the after they run off from there and the Moloids drop them, they drop them and everybody that's chasing them, all the dinosaurs, all that. The Moloids drop them. They get out. The Spider-Mobile is destroyed. You get to see the Moloids, what they actually do when they drop people. They just eat them down there in pitch darkness. But you can get away from them if you have light because it hurts their eyes. They get the Spider-Mobile, they get it flipped over, they get out, and they're running from the Venomsaurus. And it's right on them. Black Bolt shows up.
Sorry to throw a scene in, but I got to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No. That's actually
Jurassic Park, the new one was a great movie, but it would have been better if there was a Venomsaurus in it.
Yeah, I'm talking about the old school
Venomsaurus versus an Indominus.
Where he's running through, chasing the freaking vehicle, and they try to drive away.
Black Bolt shows up, saves them, and then they go to Emma's, I guess, house. She says it's like the last safe place to be. They actually have a little bit of argument, or Hawkeye does. He feels Emma's like a traitor. That because she married Black Bolt, and they didn't side with the villains, but they had a treaty with them.
Yeah.
You know, where we won't do hero shit, just don't kill us. You know, and I don't know exactly what their treaty was, but Hawkeye felt
she has, you know, any human that can blow stuff up by talking.
Yeah, and she's got a powerful Black Bolt. But you know, Hawkeye was still, to me, he was appalled by that, and he didn't really like her because of that. But she looked at it as it's a means of survival. We were beat down, we were done. You know, I had to survive, and she did what she had to do to survive. And then Logan, of course, he's like, "How do you still look so young?"
Makes her see it. That plays off into the Secret Wars
story
too.
She makes you see.
She does the same thing.
Yeah, she makes you think she's young, and she's not.
Yeah.
And I thought that was real cool.
Me, the guys you think hit that and don't even know the difference.
How many guys would want to hit it when her husband's Black Bolt?
Yeah,
that's very true. Good point, touche. And it's funny you bring that up because, you know, here recently with the Terrigen Mist and the mutants and everything going on in Marvel, it's almost like unforeseen foreshadowing with this, in a sense. But not get real tied up into that, you know. But yeah, you know.
Another thing I want to touch on, because this book was just full of cool stuff, is I wish they would have touched on a little bit more of why Bruce Banner is like he is.
Well, survival of the fittest, I would assume.
Because they said Abomination took over that part first.
Well, that was the section of land he was given.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then Banner killed him because, you know, he's Banner and the Abomination hate each other. But that right there, I think, is one of the most, besides the Moloids, it's probably the most interesting thing is the Hulk gang.
Yeah.
They're inbred. Hulk banging She-Hulk because it was only, like you said, it's the only person that can keep up with him. Yeah, and all the guys are inbred. You know, oh man. And what's interesting is Banner's strength. He has this Hulk strength when he's Banner, which is nothing new. He's had that before. But what's interesting when he hulks out in the giant size, he's enormous. He's like twice as big as what he normally is. And it's and I don't know if that's maybe because of radiation over time, like maybe he's been sitting around absorbing it or what, but he's just monstrous. He's almost like the Blob in a sense.
Yeah,
you know, he's like that. Huge. But the Hulk gang is interesting because, like I said, we were talking about this before we started recording. Is the way Wolverine slices them up? Is it a and you know they don't regenerate and they died? It's the same thing when he busts out of Hulk, which is actually a really cool scene. Because he's sitting there grumbling around, but you know.
I didn't understand how he was able to eat Wolverine.
That's what I was about to get to here in a second.
I see eating the meat off the adamantium skeleton. Yeah, but how do you get the chest piece in there?
Well, I mean, he can't really break him down. Yeah. So I mean, you shoulder to the hip. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe he just unhinged. Maybe he broke his jaw. Hell, I don't know. But then that just gets into what I was talking about. With. Where Wolverine is just slicing them up, is that a byproduct of inbreeding and then radiation damaging the genes during inbreeding? Because, the Hulk's really resistant to a lot of stuff. And Wolverine is just slicing up these rednecks, which in 50 years, that could be a ton of children with inbreeding. Because I'm assuming that's what all the Hulks do, besides going to the whorehouses. Yeah. They inbreed with each other to keep the bloodline strong. Almost like, what's the group from Game of Thrones?
I can't remember.
Anyways, because I haven't watched that forever. But anyways, you get what I'm talking about. But is that what that is? Is a byproduct of radiation inbreeding? And then you get to where I was going to say the Hulk eating Wolverine, which seems impossible that he could swallow Wolverine and will die. And surely he had to know that Wolverine would not die from that.
Yeah, that's what kind of caught me off guard. And when his nephew or cousin or whoever told him, "You've never ate something that has a healing factor."
Yeah, he's like,
crap.
fuck. Yeah,
And
he thinks
cuts
about
out
it.
of him like Wolverine should. I mean, Hulk, the Hulk, Bruce Banner should have knew. He should have knew. For one, he should have knew he couldn't digest the adamantium.
Yeah.
Two, he should have knew Wolverine. He would come back. You can't put him in there. I mean, I thought that was a little, but I mean, I was able to overlook it.
Okay, hold up. Bringing on that. Okay, you know in the beginning of the book that his regeneration is slow.
Yeah.
So what if Banner knew that and he would assume that his stomach acid was just strong enough to keep his regeneration like an overload? To like he would say, but like you said, still the adamantium over. What is he going to do with that?
Yeah.
But I mean, I would think that there was something there with Bruce being a scientist that he might have thought of before he ate.
I mean,
Wolverine.
could you imagine trying to crap out some adamantium claws?
God,
You know, that's bad the whole way out.
well, you say that you read Marvel Zombies. When Hulk turns back into Banner when he eats, and there's one point in the book where he goes back to Banner and like a bone rips out his stomach. So would it not be the same thing with Wolverine when he went back down to Banner? I mean, think about it. That's a 5'3", 5'4" adamantium skeleton in your stomach that's like this big.
He'd have to stay. He'd have to stay the Hulk till he crapped it all out. Because he was still the Hulk when it was like 12 hours later. He was still the Hulk. So maybe he knew he had to stay the Hulk till he passed it. That's just little details that I don't think the writer really felt he could touch on.
I don't
what would
think I
happen if you try to crap a Hulk?
Well, maybe we'll get a Marvel what if out of that. You know, it'll be like 3 pages. Biggest thing to come out of the book, which we all love, everybody else loves, is Venomsaurus. Really, really cool idea right there. Sideshow Collectibles, I own it, has a statue of it. It's pretty sweet. I remember when reading Secret Wars and they did the Old Man Logan story, I was really hoping maybe this is something that would have stuck when the world was recreated.
It looked awesome.
Yes, it
didn't get to do anything.
No.
Except for run really fast, but it looked amazing.
Really, really neat concept.
I guess I already gave it my 10 stars. But if I had to recommend a book for anybody, especially because this Old Man Logan's in the new universe, if you want to know about him, read this book.
Well, you got no choice now.
Yeah.
Because there's no Wolverine.
Yeah.
You have no choice but to read this. This is your starting point for the Old Man Logan book, which we covered in Extraordinary X-Men. He says he had Baby Hulk, and in the Secret Wars book there's a black woman that is taking care of him when he leaves. But he said, everything was white, there was nothing, and then he woke up. So, I mean, this is your starting point for this book. There's a gap that's not really going to mean anything in the new book.
Yep.
The one thing I really wanted to bring up with this book is I really want to have Mark Millar write a story of the battle. This big final confrontation where all the villains are going to... I want to see that play out more.
Oh, yeah.
How that would be.
That'd
because,
be cool.
like I said, Magneto and Abomination, Absorb Man fight Thor. You've got the giant Loki. You've got the skeleton Hank Pym, and Red Skull taking all these trophies. Like, was Red Skull defeating these guys by himself, or was he just taking them as they were defeated?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
trophies there.
I mean, there's a whole.
He had a Thor's helmet in there.
Yeah,
he could never take Thor. And they talk about the person that beat Thor with Magneto and Absorbing Man.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think there'd be a nice thing to go. Well, I mean, you might even get that in the Old Man Logan story too. When all that starts, that might be more flashback. Which he said he just kind of went out of it, Yeah. Because which one thing you forgot when he's talking to Hulk, he tried to kill himself. Remember? Yeah. He stuck his head in front of the train.
And I like how it showed how brutal this book was. I forgot about those scenes.
Yeah.
How much it showed his head getting run over, head getting chopped off. It was really cool.
He talked about he knew it wouldn't kill him, but he was trying to kill Wolverine. So just Logan was left. Which I thought it was pretty cool, killing almost a personality that he had, which was Wolverine, getting rid of it and just becoming Logan. That's kind of what helped him start becoming the family man that he was, the farmer, hardworking.
So maybe then we would need a Hawkeye, an old man like Hawkeye then.
Oh, I'd love it. But
because he's been alive through all this.
Well, he died at the towards the end.
But I mean, for the story to be told, maybe it'd be best to be told in Hawkeye.
I would like to see an old man. Well, he can't see. He can't do it.
Yeah, he's been blind forever.
But
he's got glaucoma. He's moving drugs. He can smoke some marijuana to clear that up.
I liked everything about this book, but one point I want to touch on, since you was talking about you'd like to see some like offshoots or something of the battles. I would love to see more about that Mysterio, or even the Spider-Man villains, what was going on.
Yeah.
Mysterio's one of my favorite villains, and I was super pumped and excited that Mysterio actually did something.
Defeated the X-Men.
Defeated the X-Men. He, you know, all the other ones are talking about like, villains teaming up on people.
Yeah, and he
Mysterio did it himself. You know what I mean? And I love that. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains because of that. He ain't gonna whip nobody in no fist fight.
Whose plan do you think that was to use him like that?
Oh,
I don't know.
That's even more interesting, is it not? You know,
who came up with the plan? Because Mysterio, he wouldn't want to go take out.
No, he'd be afraid.
Yeah,
I would assume.
Yeah.
I mean,
and whoever came up with the plan, and he built the illusions and all that.
Yeah, because he even talks about how he changed the smell and everything, and
the
he
way
got away
they
with the telepass.
yeah, and everything. So he really put some work in on
but
that.
like I said, it would be a really nice way to see and have the story through the villain's eyes. You know how all this took place,
and especially Mysterio. Like I said, that was one of the most exciting parts of the book. It's when he stepped out from the busted out wall and told Wolverine what he did. I'm like, yes, they couldn't have picked a better person.
And it's nice because you see a Spider-Man jobber do something badass.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes Mysterio comes off as a joke. Like I actually read something online one time where Daredevil was talking about text. One of them funny text things. He was texting Spider-Man. He's like, I kept fighting this guy that kept laughing, saying I could never find him, and these because of his illusions. He was like, but he just kept standing there while I hit him, and then you know they were just a jab at Mysterio. But he's still one of my favorite Spider-Man villains.
Yeah.
And I would like to see what the Spider-Man villains did. And like you were saying, I like when they do the villains, how the battles went. Where's all the other Spider-Man villains?
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, they've got to be doing something. Obviously, Eddie Brock or whoever was the Venom at this time lost the symbiote. You know.
Yeah.
And it's running around, and it got on a T-Rex and all that. So I mean, I like to know where like what happened to Doc Ock. Does it ever explain any of that? Like, I mean. I'd like to see some of that stuff because that's some of my favorite villains.
But but now that we've brought this up and how much we want to see this, do you think it would take away from this book if you done it though?
I don't know. I mean,
because this book is glorious. I mean, you can praise the book all day.
Maybe let's just leave it alone.
No, I think they should. And I also think they should touch on what Wolverine did after. Like the team that he built. What you said, all the flashbacks might show that.
Well, I think it's man, Secret Wars. That's almost like right afterwards.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's not a lot to tell there,
and
because the Hulk is still a baby.
I wanted to see more of Doom.
Well, yeah, you see Doom that one time, and we love Doom. Yeah, and he almost like he don't care. He's ain't worried about that.
If anything, they don't want to.
Maybe
in
a way
Doom,
it's what he wants.
Yeah, if they don't want to go into Doom and what he's doing, I'd like to see how well his city, his part of the world, is prospering. For one, I was surprised that Doom gave up Latveria to move over there.
Yeah.
And did he move Latveria over there? I would like them to just explain that.
Lift it up, take it over.
Did he move Latveria over there, and how well is his place doing? You know.
Yeah, because he cares about his people.
He cares about his people. Like Red Skull City was prospering.
Yeah. But
it was crazy violent and like all that. But you could tell it was prospering. I bet you Doom's was almost the ideal.
But that's about it for Old Man Logan. We're the Villains of Man. Justin Von Doom, the Hero Man. Seven the Great. If you're watching this on YouTube, like us on Facebook. Send us some tweets. Keep reading, guys.